So I'm Jose Salvatierra, and welcome to my presentation, Identifying Management Practice for the Implementation of Obeya Room in Investment Projects in Construction Stage. So Obeya Room is a tool developed in the context of the Lean philosophy. It can be defined as a physical space that complemented by a methodology of continuous improvement oriented to waste reduction or elimination, improved communication and coordination of a project team's work, thus optimizing the time consumed in coordination and planning meetings. Numerous authors highlight the benefit of implementing Obeya Room compared to traditional meeting. The main aspects enhanced by this tool are visual management, communication and information flow, collaboration, and problem solving. For example, one of the main aspects promoted by Obeya Room is visual management. This relates to the use of visual aids and increased accessibility and information flow in a work environment. There is no single correct definition or function for working with the Obeya Room. So this is the research opportunity, and the research objective is resumed as the present study aims to identify current practice in Obeya Room through literature review and qualitative data collected by national and international Lean experts who have participated in the design of this tool. Analysis of data collected allow the identification of common management practice to design future Obeya rooms in the construction sector. In order to identify common characteristics and management practice for the implementation of Obeya Room in future projects, this study is carried out through 5 phases. Literature review of national and international information sources, data collection through survey and semi-structured interview. A group of 11 Latin American Lean experts were selected according to their experience on implementing Lean practice and tools such as Obeya Room. Result analysis from a simple management characteristic and practice categorization and applicability analysis. Identification of common practice in the implementation of Obeya Room with the greatest possibility consensus between the bibliography consulted and the expert. Validation of practice identified by the expert, and finally, work conclusion and recommendation for future research. Characteristics of interviewers and surveys respondents participating in the data collection process are presented in the following table. So we have participants from Chile, Mexico, Spain, Chile, and Mexico as our main countries. Based on data collected from both the reviewed bibliography and the interviewed and surveys, it was possible to identify common practice that characterize an Obeya Room. So it is possible to identify 6 main items to characterize an Obeya Room in the construction sector: frequency and duration, management of indicator, participant and role, stages, physical space, rules and recommendations. Additionally, a dependency with 2 variables was identified for some Obeya characteristics like organizational level and industry area. For example, organizational level 1, it corresponds to meeting held by senior management of the company executing the project, whose vision are global for the project. An industry area could be housing or multi-story building. According to the experience of professionals who contribute in the data collection stage, it is possible to summarize the practices identified for designing and implementing future Obeya room. For example, in the case of the role of the participant, the moderator, the role is leading the meeting, following the established routine and time, asking for explanation and encouraging the management of commitment to participants when there are deviation in the management indicator. In the case of recommended frequency by category, in the case of organizational level 1, in the mining sector, it can be weekly, and in fracture, it can be weekly, and in housing, it could be weekly as well. And also, for example, the recommendation duration by category, in the case of a mining in organizational level 1 is 1 hour, and from organizational level 2 is 30 to 1 hour and a half. So you can see different characteristics of the Obeya room main dimension in this research in the full paper. So as a conclusion, these two potential benefits can be identified in the literature review and expert opinion, enhancing visual management, improving collaboration, facilitating communication and information flow, and solving problems efficiently. So regarding lean philosophy in construction, it is observed that the Obeya room tool contributes transversally to its principles. For example, first, it allowed identification of flow or process. After identifying the value flow chain, it acts on the third principle, waste elimination. And finally, the last principle of continuous improvement is clearly reflected in the evaluation tool proposed in the standard, which allows finding flaws in the implementation and design, as well as generating space to propose improvement. So thank you very much to be here in my presentation. Bye.